There is this massive unspoken lie at the very center of the personal finance world.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like the big lie of wealth building.
Yeah.
And once you see it, you start noticing it absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, it's hard to unsee.
Right. It's this deeply ingrained cultural idea that you have to be uh, basically absolutely miserable right now, like constantly penny pinching.
Right, just denying yourself everything.
Exactly. Denying yourself every single pleasure today just so you can be rich later. It's this a siren that suffering today is the only valid currency for security tomorrow.
Before we dive into today's perspective, a quick reminder. This conversation is for educational and entertainment purposes. We aren't financial advisors, so please do your own research before making any big moves.
We're about to challenge everything you know about SIPs. If you want to see money through a different lens, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon right now. You won't want to miss our weekly perspective shifts.
Definitely do that.
Because our mission for this deep dive is to figure out if the mathematically perfect way of saving is actually setting us up for massive psychological failure.
Yeah, and we're tackling this by exploring a framework that really challenges conventional wisdom. It asks a pretty dangerous question, actually.
Oh, I love a dangerous question. What is it?
What if the relentless pursuit of, maximizing your future wealth is actually destroying your ability to build wealth at all?
Wow. Okay, let's unpack this. Because if you pick up like any conventional finance book or listen to any traditional guru online.
They all say the exact same thing.
Right. They all preach from the exact same rule book. The golden rule is universally set up your automated monthly investments, your systematic investment plans or SIPs, and then do not touch that money for 20 years. Like pretend it literally does not exist.
Yeah, and to be fair, the mechanism they are relying on is compound interest, which it's the foundational concept of investing.
Sure, it works.
You aren't just earning a return on your original money. You are earning a return on the returns you've already made. And to convince you to never touch your portfolio, the industry always pulls out that classic visual.
Oh, the hockey stick graph. Yeah, I know it well.
Everyone knows it.
It starts off incredibly flat and like really boring for the first 10 years or so. And then suddenly around year 15 or 20, the line just sweeps upward into this massive vertical spike.
It's beautiful to look at.
Right. They show your modest monthly contributions turning into this absolute mountain of gold.
But there is a hidden condition to that mountain of gold.
There always is.
Yeah. The exponential growth at the end of the curve only materializes if you never interrupt the compounding process. Like you cannot withdraw a single rupee along the way.
Right.
This is what we call the compounding purist mindset. And if we look at this purely through the lens of a spreadsheet, the logic is absolutely flawless. Maximizing time in the market mathematically maximizes the final output.
But I'm looking at this and thinking, we don't live in spreadsheets.
Exactly.
We live in the real world.
Which is the fundamental flaw in the purist model. The math is perfect, yeah, but it completely ignores the human element. Maintaining that level of rigid discipline for 2 or 3 decades is it's psychologically exhausting.
Totally.
It assumes we are these emotionless algorithms optimizing for a final data point at age 60, rather than, human beings experiencing life in the present.
It's like being told to run a lifelong marathon, but you aren't allowed to take a single water break.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. You're just running, sweating, your muscles are cramping up, and the financial coaches on the sideline are just yelling, don't drink anything now. Think about how optimally hydrated you'll be when you cross the finish line in 30 years.
Yeah, that is a brilliant way to visualize the mechanism of burnout, because what actually happens to a human body when you run a marathon with no water?
You pass out.
Right. You don't just slow down, you collapse. The system totally fails. And in personal finance, that collapse has a specific name.
Let's be real. Nobody actually lives perfectly. The framework we're looking at introduces this incredibly relatable concept called frugality fatigue.
Yes. Frugality fatigue is the breaking point because human willpower is it's a finite resource.
Right. It runs out.
Exactly. When you are constantly exercising discipline like saying no to going out to dinner, driving an unreliable car while you have money locked away.
Watching your friends take vacations while you eat leftovers just to make sure your SIP clears.
Yes. All of that creates a massive cognitive burden.
You're continually sacrificing your present desires for a future payoff that you can't even see or touch. And eventually the rubber band just snaps.
And the tragedy here is that the snap usually coincides with the absolute worst possible macroeconomic moment. It usually happens during a market crash.
Oof, yeah.
This is what we call the black hole effect.
Okay, we need to talk about the black hole effect because this is where the psychology gets really dark.
It really does.
Imagine you've been doing everything right. You've been so disciplined, you've been suffering from frugality fatigue for, say, 5 or 6 years, but you are pushing through it. And then a global event happens. The market tanks by 30%.
Right. You log into your brokerage account and all those numbers are just bleeding red. And because you've deprived yourself for so long, the emotional pain of seeing those paper losses is hugely magnified.
It has to feel awful.
It suddenly feels like all those dinners you skipped and vacations you denied yourself were for absolutely nothing. It feels like you've been throwing your hard-earned money into a literal black hole.
Oh, wait. If the ultimate goal of investing is long-term financial security, isn't totally abandoning your SIP during a crash like the worst possible move?
Mathematically, yes.
I mean, you are selling when prices are lowest. You are essentially locking in your losses, right?
It is the single most destructive thing you can do to your wealth. But from a behavioral standpoint, it makes complete sense.
Really? How so?
Because of that frugality fatigue that has been building up, investors aren't making a rational mathematical decision at that point. They're making an emotional one. They just want the pain to stop. They want to regain some sense of control over their life.
Ah, I see. They think, why am I depriving myself today just to watch the stock market eat my money?
Exactly. So they just surrender, they turn off their auto deposits, and they walk away.
So by demanding absolute unbroken perfection, the compounding purist approach actually creates this massive, brittle vulnerability to human emotion.
Yes. It's a system that works perfectly right up until the exact moment it shatters completely.
Man. So if strict purism often leads to this catastrophic quitting, there has to be a middle ground, a mechanism that keeps people invested without making them utterly miserable in the present.
And that brings us to the core of today's deep dive, a radical new framework called Milestone Harvesting.
Milestone harvesting. Okay, this really feels like a paradigm shift in wealth building.
It is. Instead of treating your portfolio as a locked vault that you literally can't touch until retirement, Milestone Harvesting suggests using a portion of your profits as a life subsidy.
A life subsidy. I really love the sound of that. It feels incredibly liberating.
Doesn't it?
But I have to admit, my immediate reaction is a little skepticism. Are you seriously telling me to raid my retirement fund to buy consumer goods?
I know it sounds wrong.
Because that goes against every rule of finance I've ever learned.
Sure.
How does pulling money out not completely derail your baseline goals?
Well, that is the crucial distinction here. You aren't raiding the principal. You aren't breaking the core engine of your wealth. Milestone harvesting has a very specific mathematical structure. It all revolves around establishing a trigger.
Okay, so you don't just like log in and pull out cash whenever you feel like going shopping.
Not at all. The trigger is a predefined threshold based on your portfolio's actual performance. For example, you might set a rule based on your extended internal rate of return, or XIRR.
Okay, time out. For anyone who isn't staring at financial modeling software all day, what is XIRR in plain English?
Fair question. Think of XIRR as your personal speed limit for wealth growth, because you are adding money at different times, maybe 10,000 rupees every month. The market is constantly shifting.
Right, you're buying at different prices.
Exactly. XIRR calculates your true average annual growth rate across all those different deposits. So a standard healthy target for long-term equity investing might be a 12 to 15% XIRR.
Got it. So I have my baseline goal of, say, 12%. What happens when the market goes on a massive run and suddenly my portfolio is returning like 18 or 20%?
That is your trigger. You have generated a surplus of profit well beyond what you strictly need to reach your baseline retirement goal.
Okay.
Under the milestone harvesting framework, once you hit that trigger, you activate the use case, you calculate that surplus, and you literally withdraw a portion of it.
Wait, you actually hit the sell button and move the cash to your checking account?
Yes. And then you use it to pay for immediate, real-world, small wins, things that actually impact your day-to-day life right now.
Which fundamentally changes your relationship with the portfolio.
Completely. You might use that surplus to cover a massive annual society maintenance bill, or maybe a big unexpected home repair that would otherwise cause you immense stress.
Or, to use a more fun example, taking the family on a real vacation.
Right.
Or finally buying that brand new iPhone you've been eyeing for months without ever touching your monthly salary.
Yes, and what's fascinating here is the deep hidden layer of behavioral psychology making this work.
Okay, let's hear.
Let's look at the mechanism of why this is so effective.
Uh-huh.
The first psychological pillar is proof of concept. Remember the despair of the black hole effect we talked about?
Yeah, the feeling that none of this digital money is actually real. You're just looking at pixels on a screen while eating ramen noodles.
Exactly. But if your SIP profits literally paid for the new iPhone you are holding in your hand right now, that money is no longer abstract. It is physical.
Oh, wow.
You have tangible, physical proof that your financial system works. You're holding the fruit of your labor. And that realization instantly cures frugality fatigue.
I see how powerful that is.
Yeah.
You look at the phone or you look at the photos from that family vacation, and the narrative in your head just shifts.
Precisely.
Instead of thinking, I'm depriving myself, you think, my past discipline bought me this present joy.
You've moved from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance. And there's a second mechanical benefit here, too. Locking in gains.
Because the market doesn't just go up in a straight line, it's a roller coaster.
Right. Markets are inherently volatile. By withdrawing a portion of your profit during a market peak, which is exactly when your XIRR will cross that high trigger, you are effectively securing those gains. You're taking chips off the table.
So instead of just leaving the surplus in the market, feeling like a genius,
Yep.
and then watching that profit evaporate a month later when the roller coaster dips.
You've already captured the upside and converted it into a real-life asset or experience.
That makes so much sense.
Which feeds directly into the third and perhaps most vital psychological pillar, the discipline factor.
This is the part that really flipped my understanding upside down. Because traditional advice insists that spending money ruins your discipline.
Right.
But this framework argues that spending the profit actually creates the discipline.
Think about human motivation. It is fundamentally easier to maintain the rigorous discipline of auto-investing a huge chunk of your salary every single month if you know there is a guaranteed pressure release valve.
Yeah.
If you know that when the market performs well, you get a literal bonus from your portfolio to enjoy your life today.
It's the water break in the marathon. You can easily keep running those long, grueling miles if you know there is a refreshing cup of water waiting for you at mile 10. You aren't just staring at a finish line that is 30 years away.
Exactly. You are building a positive reinforcement loop. Good behavior, which is consistent investing, leads to a tangible reward, like the iPhone or the vacation, which chemically reinforces your brain's desire to continue the good behavior. You are essentially hacking your own dopamine system to stay invested.
It sounds like the ultimate cheat code. I mean, you get to enjoy life now while still building a massive nest egg for the future. You are literally having your cake and eating it too. But every single financial decision has a shadow cost.
Wait, hold on a second. We have to look at the other side of the ledger here.
Uh-oh.
Here it comes.
If I play the strict devil's advocate here, representing the compounding purists, we have to bring the cold, hard math back into the picture. Because Milestone Harvesting has a massive hidden price tag.
The spreadsheet's revenge. Let's hear it. We have to talk about the geometric nature of compounding, specifically the concept of losing growth on growth. Let's analyze the true cost of that iPhone.
We aren't just talking about the retail price tag at the store, are we?
Not at all. Let's say you hit your trigger and you withdraw 1 lakh rupees today to buy that new phone. The purists will point out that you haven't just spent 1 lakh.
Because that capital is no longer in the market compounding.
Right. You are permanently destroying all the future growth that specific 1 lakh would have generated over the next 15 or 20 years.
It's that reverse snowball concept we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
You are taking a chunk of snow off the snowball right at the top of the hill.
And because you removed it, it can't gather more snow as it rolls. Let's run the actual math on that. If the market averages a 10% return, the rule of 72 tells us your money will double roughly every 7 years.
Okay, tracking with you.
So that 1 lakh today would organically become 2 lakhs in 7 years. In 14 years, it would be 4 lakhs. In 21 years, it would be 8 lakhs.
Wow. So by taking the profit out today, I am literally erasing 8 lakh rupees from my future net worth.
Exactly. When you look at it over a multi-decade horizon, withdrawing that 1 lakh today is effectively a future 5 lakh or 8 lakh mistake, depending on market performance.
That is sobering.
The purist argues that you are robbing your future self of massive wealth just to have a shiny, depreciating gadget today. It's mathematical self-sabotage.
That's a fair point. But
Yeah.
You are entirely ignoring the reality of human behavior. I will passionately defend the harvester view here.
Okay, let's hear the defense.
Let's play out the alternative scenario. Let's say you deny yourself that 1 lakh reward today. You play the good little purist. You leave the snow in the snowball.
And it grows to 8 lakhs.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. Because you denied yourself the reward, the frugality fatigue continues to build. You get increasingly resentful of your budget. 6 months later, the market dips 20%. You panic. And because you never gauge yourself that proof of concept, because you never experienced the tangible benefit of your investments, you abandon your entire SIP out of pure exhaustion and frustration.
So you're arguing that the existence of the theoretical future money is entirely dependent on sustaining your present behavior.
Absolutely. If denying yourself the iPhone today causes you to quit your 20-year investment journey tomorrow, then that theoretical future 8 lakhs never would have existed in the first place.
Yeah.
The math only works if you stay in the seat.
That is a really strong counterargument. If we pull back and look at the bigger picture, what we are really describing is the ultimate battle of human psychology. It is future me versus present me.
Yeah. Future me wants the absolute maximum compound interest. Future me wants the spreadsheet to be flawless and optimized.
But present me actually has to live through the reality of the next 20 years. Present me has to deal with the stress of society maintenance, the desire for experiences, the need for dopamine.
Exactly. Present me needs a tangible reason to keep going, to sustain the incredible discipline required to eventually fund future me.
It is such a fascinating conflict, and I think that's why this debate is so polarizing. Neither side is technically wrong. The purist is mathematically undeniable. The harvester is psychologically realistic.
To synthesize the two distinct lenses we've explored today, on one hand, we have the mathematical perfection of the compounding purist. It demands absolute discipline, zero interruptions, and intense delayed gratification for a massive, distant payoff.
Right. And on the other hand, we have the behavioral realism of the milestone harvester. It acknowledges human frailty and uses strategic, mathematically triggered, smaller rewards to ensure you actually stay in the game long enough to reach the finish line.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. We spend so much of our lives obsessing over the final number on our retirement dashboard.
We really do.
We view wealth as a singular destination that we might reach when our knees already hurt. But what if the ultimate luxury of wealth building isn't just having a massive portfolio when you are 60 years old?
What is it then?
What if the true luxury is actually having the emotional freedom to enjoy the fruits of your money along the way without feeling a single shred of guilt?
That is a profound reframe. It transforms wealth building from a lifelong sentence of deprivation into a sustainable, enjoyable journey.
So we want to hear where you stand on this. Are you a purist who hoards every penny, or are you a harvester who enjoys the journey? Tell us in the comments.